Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're not just listening to scary stories. We're going to take them apart, piece by terrifying piece. We're going to figure out what really makes them work, what gets under our skin. And to do that, we're diving into some real accounts from the Mr. Nightmare channel.
You know, the scariest stories, they don't start in some spooky old castle, right? No, they start in the places we think are totally safe. School, home, work, and that's what makes them so powerful. It's that violation of our sanctuary. So, okay, let's dive in and see how this fear is actually built, from the ground up.
So here's our roadmap. We're basically going to follow the path of fear itself. We'll start with that illusion of safety, then that creepy sinking feeling, then the moment the threat becomes real, all the way to those unanswered questions that stick with you. And finally, we'll ask, why do we even watch this stuff?
All right, first up, the illusion of safety. This is all about when the familiar suddenly becomes, well, foreign.
Okay, look at these places. A calculus class on a Friday? Ugh, been there. A new house in the suburbs, a quiet night shift, a basement bedroom. These aren't just random spots, they're our spots. They feel so real, so relatable, and that's exactly the point. The whole idea is to make you put yourself in their shoes and think, wow, that could have been me. And this gets to the absolute core of it. It's all about the breach. It's when something unknown and terrifying worms its way into a place of comfort. See, the real horror isn't just the monster, right? It's the monster showing up in your bedroom. It's the violation, the breaking of that one place you thought was untouchable. Okay, so once that safe space is set up, the next stage kicks in. That sinking feeling. It's that whisper of intuition. You know, long before anything actually happens, there's almost always this little warning sign. Not from your brain, but from your gut.
I mean, think about it. Have you ever had that feeling? Just a gut instinct that something is seriously, deeply wrong? It's that primal fight-or-flight thing that kicks in. There's no proof, no evidence, just a feeling, a shiver you just can't shake. This quote just nails it. It's from the guy in that remote house, and he says, "I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. I didn't know from where, but I knew." See? It's not a guess. It's this deep, unexplainable knowing that you're in danger. And it's always triggered by these subtle little things, right? These tiny warning signs. A question that's just a little too personal, like, "You alone here?" A car just sitting there with its lights off. Or a weird sound that doesn't belong. It could be anything, really. The man staring at a blank TV for hours. Someone's story that just doesn't add up. These are the little red flags our logical brain wants to ignore, but our gut is screaming. And then we get to the point of no return. The threat is real. This is the moment of confirmation. This is when that vague, creepy feeling becomes a cold, hard, terrifying fact. Just look at this timeline from the story about the intern during the lockdown. At 7 p.m., he's just eating a sandwich. Completely normal. 2 minutes later, a lockdown call. Then things get quiet for a bit, until 7:22 when the basement door creaks open. A minute later, he's hiding under a desk. And then, the worst possible thing, his phone dings with a text, and boom, his location is revealed. A minute after that, he's face-to-face with an armed intruder. It goes from 0 to 100, from mundane to life-threatening in literally minutes. It's just terrifyingly fast. And that's the reveal, isn't it? It's the moment your worst fears are confirmed. That shadow in the window? It's a face. That weird noise? It's laughter coming from inside the wall. The banging on the door? The hand reaching out from under the desk? Suddenly, it's not in your head anymore. It is very, very real. So the event is over. But here's where real-life horror gets, honestly, even scarier than the movies. We move into the unanswered questions. That lingering echo of fear. Because in real life, you almost never get a neat ending. And that lack of an answer, that can be the most terrifying part. It all comes down to this one word: ambiguity. You know, it's that feeling of not knowing, of things being open-ended. In horror, it's the uncertainty that lets that fear just stick around. It never really goes away. It just becomes this question mark hanging over your head, maybe forever. Like, who was that guy in the school closet with the .44 Magnum? A janitor finds him sleeping in there after he terrorizes the school, but by the time the cops show up, he's just gone, vanished. We never find out who he was or why he was there. Or what about the people in the woods? What did they want with that trucker? They set up this whole elaborate trap with fake screams and throwing stuff at his truck, but for what? We have no idea, and that is just chilling.
And this one really sticks with you. Was the neighbor in on it? The one who lived next door to the guy watching that teenage girl for years? When the girl's dad warns her, she doesn't thank him. She gets hostile, angry. Why? Was she helping him? We'll never know, and that question just hangs there.
And what was the man with the stolen credit card planning to do in that hotel all night? He's just wandering the halls for hours, standing outside rooms, watching. The police get him before he does whatever he was planning to do, but that just leaves this huge, terrifying what if? What was the end game?
So that brings us to the big question. Why do we watch this stuff? Why are we so fascinated by these tales of pure terror? What are we getting out of it?
Well, there are a few reasons. First, it lets us experience danger from a safe distance, right? Vicariously. Second, these stories are basically modern cautionary tales. They're a reminder to trust your gut, to lock your doors, and third, they help us process our own anxieties about how random and fragile life can be. It's like we get to learn a really hard lesson without actually having to go through the trauma ourselves. We can peek into the abyss and then just walk away.
And this final quote, from the young woman who was being watched for years, really gets to the heart of everything we've been talking about. She said, "What scares me the most isn't that it happened, it's how long it went on for without anyone knowing." And that's it, isn't it? The real horror is the danger you don't even see, the vulnerability you never knew you had.
So, after all this, how safe is your safe space? It's a pretty chilling question to think about, and maybe that's the real reason we can't look away from these stories. Thanks for watching.